Welcome back to Where in the World, where we have real conversations with young professionals about life and career, all while attempting to guess where in the world they are. We'll learn something new about our guests and what it's like to forge your own career path as a young professional. And when we say young, y'all, we're really talking about a state of mind. You'll learn by watching this web series that your career will take many dips and turns over time. And just when you think you've made it, you might have to scrap it all and start from scratch. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, and we ride the tide. I am your host, Clary Johnson, and we're joined here today by Deanna Brooks, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Deanna Brooks LLC. Okay, where her team offers fractional CFO services to women-owned small businesses ranging from $250,000 to $3 million in annual revenue. Services include bookkeeping, tax prep, payroll, budgeting, and forecasting, and so much more, y'all. The big, hairy question we're asking today is, how can we create financial abundance as young professionals? But before we jump in, let's do some housekeeping. This is a mini web series game show. The questions will range from standard interview like questions to more personal questions about our guests' careers. You'll notice we're both here today with different backgrounds. In between questions, we'll have an opportunity to guess where in the world the other person is. The first person to guess correctly wins. Our guests can ask for clues along the way, and the audience can also help out by asking for clues in the chat. So please join me in welcoming Deanna.
Hey, Clary, how are
Hey.
you?
Oh, hey. Deanna, I am so thrilled to be reconnected with you. We met several years ago while collaborating on a startup fresh out of college. And of course, life has its way of redirecting our paths only to cross them again. I recently saw you on a wealth webinar and I was like, I know her. Then, of course, I had to reach out because 2 years into my business, I was in desperate need of a CPA. So I am so happy to have you as a part of my team and to have you here on the show. For those who have been following my journey as an entrepreneur, you know that wealth is a theme that I revisit often. And on this show today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper and really unpack what it means to be wealthy as young professionals at a time when we're navigating the world of buying homes, starting families, traveling, and doing things we love in a financially savvy way. And just to give you an idea of where I am financially, okay, I recently signed a lease on a new apartment.
Yay! Come on. Yes. Yes.
And this was after trying over and over and over again to buy a home
Girl.
and having doors shut in front of me. Okay. And finally deciding that at this moment, it's best to rent. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts on wealth. Let's get started with our most common interview question. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Okay. Well, my name is Deanna Brooks. As you see, I am a CPA. I'm licensed in Illinois, but I currently live in Houston, Texas. So we gonna get the license transferred over eventually. But I am from Chicago. Okay, let's rep the city. I'm from Chicago, and I started my career Big Four accounting. If anybody knows what that is, great. If you don't, is the I worked at one of the fourth largest accounting firms in the world, KPMG. And I started my career there in mergers and acquisitions. So when it's buying, selling, businesses and stuff like that, that was where I started. Quickly found out that world, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. You know what I mean? But
Okay.
then migrated through a series of journeys, life, twists and turns. I tried to leave accounting eventually. I was like, forget accounting. And I know we're going to talk about this more. I was like, I'm about to be a hairstylist. Let me just go back to hair. Let me just do what I like to do and be free, forget all that stuff. And this really happened at a point in time when I lost my dad. And I realized the fragility of life. And I understood that if you're living your life for anybody else other than yourself, and when it's said and done, and this life is short, and when it's said and done, and people bury you and they go on about their business, are they going to care that you lived your life for them?
Hmm.
No, they're not. So why am I living my life for them? So that's why I decided to become a hairstylist. Long story short, that led me back into accounting. And now we're here actually, where I actually did some hair actually, and we're gonna talk about that too. So had a hair business, did hair part-time, but also decided I wanted to serve clients one-on-one part-time, I mean full-time as well. So that's where we are.
Yeah, and well, Chi-Town, word up, let's rep the city.
Mhm.
Um, I was listening to the part where you were talking about how you were in mergers and acquisitions at one of the top financial institutions in
Yes.
the world, in the United States, and you were saying that you quickly found that that path wasn't for you, and really, what I found going into entrepreneurship is a lot of black women, because
Yeah.
that I work with a lot of black women. I love working with small business owners, mid-sized business owners, enterprises who are led by black founders. And we hear this story a lot about, hey, I was in corporate America for many years, and it was difficult, and I found that I was having a really hard time progressing and advancing in my career the way that I wanted to.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with systemic racism or covert racism, and sometimes just being in environments that are not really designed
Yeah.
to help us to flourish. I can say that that's a part of my own story. And so I don't want to like skip over that, because I think it's really important
Yeah.
and it's not something that we talk a lot about. One of the statistics that I like to share quite often is that Black women are the fastest growing number of entrepreneurs in the United States. And a big part of that reason is because in corporate workplaces, we're struggling to find the right fit, right? And so what I find that's so fascinating is the ability for us to say, okay, well, we can persevere and we're worthy, and I'm going to go and I'm going to create the life that I want. And I think that's a big part of the conversation we're going to have about wealth today, is this idea, but coming from moving from this idea of like I earn wealth to I'm creating wealth.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what that actually looks like from the perspective of young professionals of all ethnicities. Um, so thank you for kind of being really candid about that and sharing that part of your journey. And then I'm really loving this balance between I'm a hairstylist, but I also a CPA, and I I want to talk a little bit more about that, and we're going to have a couple questions for
Yeah.
you about what that lifestyle is really like, because it sounds like a lot is on your plate, but I can also
Sure.
imagine that there's also some ease and some enjoyment there. So, before we go on to our next question, let's go ahead and kick us off, because you look like you're in a really cool, deserty. It's like kind of tropical, but also dry, which is
Whew.
it's like clay. That looks like clay. Those boats. I mean, are you in Africa?
No, I'm not in Africa.
Wow.
Close,
Close.
but
Not quite. Okay, so tell me a little bit about this place.
okay. It's so funny that you said tropical and dry at the same time. It's almost like it's morphed into something that was meant to be, like it was meant to be tropical,
Okay.
but now it's dry land, or it's becoming dry.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
that reminds me of Venus. I don't know. That's very existential, but if you know anything about Venus, that's a lot
Yes.
like it was a lot like Earth, and then it became a very arid,
Yeah.
deserty kind of a planet. So, and I just want to kind of describe the scene I'm seeing here, because this will be a podcast, and I want to make sure our listeners can kind of visualize what we're looking at. So, it looks like I'm gonna do my best. Okay, it
Okay.
looks like there's some power lines in the background.
Oh yeah.
There's a river like running on the left side, upper left hand corner of this image. There are like three boats, but they're wooden boats, and they're small. It looks like they could be paddle boats. And then it looks like some huts in the background. I can't see any cows or chickens, but I would imagine that there are probably some cows and chickens back there. And then up front, sorry, I said three boats. There are actually four because there's one right behind you. And then the ground feels like, like that dry dirt.
Yeah.
Like how when dirt gets really, really dry, it kind of looks
Yes.
like that, but it's kind of clay. So that's what we're looking at. It's really, really pretty. There's like a sepia tone to this, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited to find out where this place is. But before we go on, it's your turn to guess where I am.
Oh, okay. It's giving real European vibes because the homes are like stacked on top of each other. It's like hilly. You got homes on top of, I see a lot of places that look steeples. So it looks very like churchy kind of thing going on. It's very colorful. It's bright. That's how I know it's European. It's like, or could it be? Is it someplace? Is it a Spanish feel? I don't know.
Mhm.
Am I getting close? Am I?
Possibly. Well, so what's your guess? What's your guess?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't have a specific city yet, but I'm guessing it's somewhere in Spain. I don't know.
So we are not in Spain.
Okay. Okay. Not in
We're
Spain.
not we're not in Spain. But I will say follow your gut.
Follow my gut.
Follow your gut.
Oh, okay.
But you're gonna follow your gut after the next
Okay.
one.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So tell us okay, there's a certain type of person in my mind that likes to work with finances. I enjoy words. Numbers are not my forte. I get really frustrated with myself when it comes to numbers. But it's so essential to just being able to live, right? Like everything for most things, if you want it, you need to pay for it or barter for it. And so really understanding the value of things and then translating that into dollars and cents, or any kind, whatever currency that you use, is a critical skill.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is it about finances that drew you into that industry? What is it that you like about finances?
So let's start with what drew me into finances. It was the lack of finances that drew me into finances.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I remember just like even at 5 years old, right? Just always being afraid, like watching my mom count the dollars, and she would like set aside certain dollars for certain bills. And she would always be worried. And I'll be like, the worry would transfer to me because I'll be like, Mommy, do we got enough to pay the bills this month? Like, are we gonna be good? Like, the lights was just cut off. Do we have enough so that we don't have the lights anymore? You know what I mean? There would be times that um in Chicago, you know how cold the winters get. There were times that we didn't have gas. And so we had to boil water to take baths and stuff like that. And I remember like getting bundled with coats and stuff and two socks and hoodies and all types of stuff just to go to sleep at night. And so just like having that be a thing. And then finances always cause arguments in the house. So I remember always being scared and like feeling like, oh, I'm afraid every time there's a school trip, I'm sweating bullets every time a teacher talks about a school trip, because I'm like, am I going to be able to go on this school trip this time? You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. And mind you, these school trips maybe $10-15, and I'm like, are we going to be able to go? Like, you know what I mean? So I just remember once I started going into my teens, being mad frustrated, like, okay, I'm done with this. And mind you, let me give you some background. When I was entering my 13 is when, I don't know what happened, but things went downhill and I became extremely, extremely depressed, to the point where I could not go a day without crying for hours or crying myself to sleep. And so it was becoming like cumbersome to my friends, to teachers. They were just like, She crying again. Like, stop crying. Stop her from crying. She always crying. Like, we were on a eighth grade field trip. I'm crying myself in boohoo tears in the hallway, and weren't supposed to be in the hallway and all types of stuff, crazy stuff. So it got to the point where I was like, screw this. I really feel like, first of all, my friends are irritated with me. My parents are embarrassed by me. My church thinks I'm a hoe. Sorry, am I supposed to?
Bear it all. Okay.
Let me
Bring a receipt.
there's a lot going on. And I'm not good at any sports. I'm overweight, so don't know. I don't have like luck in the male department. You know what I mean? The guys that I were dating or dealing with, one tried to pimp me out. That's a whole story in of itself. That was a
Okay, wait, that's gonna be episode 101, y'all. The return of Deanna Brooks.
I swear I was so close to doing it because I was just like, yo, I'm tired of them riding me for having holes in my shoes. Like, I was so tired. Yeah, like it was crazy. And so I remember getting to the point where I was just so depressed that I started becoming suicidal. And I remember being on a school bus one day, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of annoying people. I'm not happy here. I feel trapped here. Let me just put everybody out their misery. Let me put me out my misery, and let me just end this right now. So I'm looking at the back of the bus, like the emergency exit. We're on the expressway. I'm like, I bet you if I just darted to the back real quick, unlatched that emergency exit, and just ran, like, flip myself out onto the expressway, people gonna be so shocked and confused as to what I'm doing that they're not gonna be able to stop me, because they're gonna be like, what is she doing? You know what I mean? That was my thought process. I don't know why. So I'm just like, okay, damn. I'm trying to hype myself up to do it. I'm like, this is the time. We're gonna do this. Like, let's get it done. So I'm inching off my seat, and I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to hype myself up. And then as soon as I'm like getting ready to like do the whoop, 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 dart to the back, I just felt this strong internal voice that said, stop. It almost felt audible, but it was just in my head. And it was like, stop, because you have to be hope for somebody else who is in your position right now. And I just felt this clear sense of purpose come over me. Like, I don't know if I was 13 or 14 at that time, but I just felt this clear sense of purpose that I never felt before. Just like, wait a minute, like, I'm supposed to, because if I do this, the other person who's coming after me, who's in my exact same position, is not going to feel like they got hope to make it to the other side of this. They're not going to see, they're going to think that they're bound by their situation as well, because I didn't do what I was supposed to do to show them there is a path to hope. And from there, I just had the clear sense of purpose. So 14, I'm like, okay, like, let me I started getting my grades together, because I was an A student. And then I went to junior high and started wilding out because I was depressed and all types of stuff. Started getting C's, D's, all this stuff. Mind you, I was still taking care of my niece at this time at 13 years old, who was just a newborn baby. So that was a whole nother situation. But I was like, you know what, skip this. I'm about to get my grades together. I'm about to figure it out. Like, I had a sense of mission. My parents are from Jamaica. So, you know, all they know is hospitals. So they're like, yeah, you have to be a doctor. You have to be a doctor. That's all I know, right? And so I'm like, all right, I got to be a doctor. Let me figure this out. And so I took biology. It wasn't working. It was not. The cells weren't selling for me. They weren't, it wasn't something. Mitochondria, I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. So I'm having a young life crisis because I can't be a doctor if I don't understand biology. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh, like, I'm thinking life is over. Whatever mission that God gave me, it's over. Like, it is what it is. And next thing you know, I was just like, all right. So I'm over here telling people like my young life crisis. I'm like, oh, I can't be a doctor. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then, mind you, they were like, aren't you good at math? Because like I kept skipping math classes and stuff like that. I was in these math games, won them first place, all these different things. Everybody knew I was a math wizard. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, why don't you be an accountant? I was like, what does an accountant do? They were like, I don't know, but I think you'd be good for it because you know math. And so I'm like, okay. So I started looking up, what does an accountant do? all I saw was finances and they make money. So I said, you know what? Perfect.
Let's go.
That's my purpose anyway, is to help people with these finances. And then I started feeling this renewed sense of it kind of reminded me of The Alchemist, where you like finally set on your path and then stuff starts feeding in. And so at that point, skipped junior year of high school, got into U of I, where we met, where we went to school, and who was ranked number 2 in the nation for accounting at the time. And went there, and the rest was history. So that's kind of, I know that was a long answer, but that's really why I got into finance.
With that being said, I do want to guess where you at, because
Okay.
this ain't over.
Okay.
You're not in Africa.
I'm Googling because I'm like, Africa? You say I'm not in Africa.
You're not in Africa. I have 2 ideas. First of all, I didn't realize you were Jamaican, or that your parents were Jamaican. Yeah, and when you whipped out that accent, I was like, oh. I met a whole nother Deanna I didn't realize existed. I was like, okay. So that made me want to guess Jamaica. No, okay.
Nope. It's okay. Okay, I'm about to guess. Oh, Russia?
This is not Russia, but let me tell you a little bit about this place.
Okay, yes.
So this place is the second richest nation on Earth.
Second rich. Oh, Lord, okay.
That was actually in 2022. I read somewhere else that it's actually the richest nation on Earth. And let me give you some statistics to back that up. So the GDP of this country will reach 1,011,000. I don't know what that number is. It's 331 500. Help me. It said 111,500 USD by the end of 2022. There are no commas in this, so I am not sure what the number is. I will say that this country is progressively promoting itself as a technological hub and data center hub, attracting several large corporations to establish their headquarters here.
Okay. Is it okay? It's between Ireland and Luxembourg. You said I could use Google.
So with that, we are going to go on to our next.
Which one was it?
I can't give you that answer.
Oh, okay. We're
going to have to come back to it.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. So you kind of described your career. You painted us a picture of the path that brought you here. So let's go back to, you were talking about your work as a hairstylist as well as running your own business. Give us an insight into how you find balance in your day-to-day. What's it like to balance hairstylist with running your own financial business?
Well, to be honest, and I'm going back, I'm trying to because I need to get my guests in, so I'm like low-key getting duplicating my tab so that I can cheat. But so to be honest, right now, this season of my life, there is no balance. And I just want to be forthcoming about that, because I think some people believe that certain people that make it to a certain level in life, that they had balance the whole time. And I have a very distinct destination as to where I'm going. And I feel like if I just grind it out during this period in my life, there will come a period of time of balance for me down the road. But this is just not. I know, like Myron Golden says it all the time, and I hate to be quoting Myron Golden, but he says, there's going to be seasons of balance and there's going to be seasons of focus. But ironically enough, the fact that you just asked me that, so I actually quit my hairstyling job this weekend. I was there on the job Sunday, and I text my manager like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. So he hasn't texted me back yet. So I'm not gonna come in on Saturday.
2-week notice.
I'm just assuming we're not coming back, but it's because I was taking it to an extreme. And I've been working 7 days a week. That includes days and nights. Like, so every day. So sometimes Friday nights and Saturday nights, I would just be so like kind of out of it and my head would hurt that I couldn't really get work done. I'll try to like check emails or reply to emails here and there, maybe set a landing page up or something like that. But Fridays and Saturday nights, for the most part, I couldn't really focus to get stuff done because I was just so spent by the week. But for the most part, Monday, from the time I wake up to the time I'm going to sleep, working. Like, because now I have a 9 to 5, because I didn't tell you that. So I have a 9 to 5 at working like for University of Houston as contract role, right? So it expires soon. So thank God.
Congratulations.
So working University of Houston, doing internal audit, because that's like kind of like my base. After I left after I left Big Four, I went to United Airlines to do internal audit. So that's kind of like where I learned the foundation of business, to be honest. Like it's like I learned from A to Z how businesses run, how they work. And I never learned that at the prestigious firms. You know what I mean? They don't know how business work, but they glorify consultants. But that's not here nor there. I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm not gonna mess with it. That's a whole system but so long story short, doing internal audit, 9 to 5, blah blah blah, 9 to 5-ish, because not every, but for the most part, and still building my business. So for the most part, I realized that every hour that I spend diverting my attention to certain things is keeping me stuck in the area that I'm trying to grow. I can't grow multiple areas at the same time. So I was like, why am I spending? First of all, the hours 7 days a week on my body for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, it wasn't doing anything for me. It wasn't doing anything for my clients. Like, I had to figure it out, right? And just trust God is going to provide the rest of it. Second of all, I had to look and say, okay, how much is my time worth? Like based on what I'm trying to make at the end of the year, how much is that hourly time? Like, you know what I mean? Now, my hourly time is really priceless. But let's break it up into how much do I plan to get paid for my time, throughout the year. And I'm like, if that number is up past the $200 per hour, why am I settling for something that's barely paying me $20 an hour? It don't make sense. Mm-hmm. When I know during that time period, I could send an email, probably get 2 clients, or getting 1 client in 1 hour, I make what I would have made the whole weekend at the salon. You know what I mean? And because instead of doing those things that I know would get me clients, I'm apprehensive. I'm not doing the things, I'm not marketing, because I'm afraid I won't be able to handle it because I'm working these $20 an hour jobs. And so for me, I had to all of those things, and knowing I needed a day of rest to rejuvenate because my creativity was getting shrunken. I was like, nah, I got to move around. So I actually decided to pare it down and just focus on what the focus is.
All right. So I had a follow-up question for you, and I still want you to answer that question,
yes.
Which was really about, how do you determine the monetary value of your time? Do you have some quick calculations you use? Do you use like an Excel document, Google Sheets? Like, give us a little bit of a breakdown of what that process is like.
Girl, how much you want to make in a year divided by the number of working hours in a year? Simple. There you go. So if you want to make 250,000, okay, then you need to divide it by, let's Google this. Dear Google, hold on. I'm gonna do Chat GPT, because chat is up. Hold on. How many working hours
in a year?
A year. Okay.
Well, let's find out.
2,080.
Okay, but let's pause. That's based on the traditional 9 to 5.
That's based on traditional 9 to 5?
Right.
Divide that number by how much you want to work. So we're gonna adjust this number, because this don't include vacation. This don't include. Let's be clear, okay? So we're gonna knock some hours off of that, because we're not doing
2,000 hours.
No, we're not doing slavery. Listen, I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna say 1,750. Okay, 1,750, because, and that's another thing, because there's some changes that I want to talk to you about. I'm just trying to wait until a good time to talk about it. but I'm rebranding Deanna Brooks LLC. I yet to
I've
change
been
it
seeing the
legally.
emails.
Yeah. I'm rebranding it to Be Soft Life Financial because I
Oh,
strongly feel like we're working ourselves to the bone, and we're doing it unnecessarily. I strongly
mhm.
believe that, and we could talk about that because people have different visions about what the soft life is, and so I kind of want to talk about that eventually. But yeah, so let's say 1750. Now, here's the thing. I know how much debt I got. Okay. So I said, okay, I know how much I need to make. And it's like, and that's profit. That's not revenue. And we could talk about that too for the business owners. Revenue is not equal profit. There's a difference. What you make as a business owner is the profit. Okay. So if I know I need to make $500,000 profit. Now here's the thing. Let's say I'm on track to make maybe $50,000 profit. I'm gonna bring that down to 375. Maybe. God, I'm gonna let God do what God do. But at the end of the day, let's say, okay, what is what am I saying? Okay, 350, let's say 350,000 divided by
1750. That's how many hours we're working.
1750. Yes. That equals $200 an hour, which is that's pretty reasonable, right?
It is.
That's pretty reasonable. But that's profit, right? That's not revenue. So if let's say that the business and that gets into a lot of different stuff. I don't want to complicate this, right? But at the end of the day, I'm saying I need to make $200. So if I'm meeting with a client and I know that my overhead costs me about $50 an hour, you know what I mean? Like if I do my business expenses and use that same equation over the amount of hours that I'm working, then I know that I need to set my price at least 250 an hour if I'm going to net 200 an hour, to accommodate that. So that's kind of the idea of it, plus or minus a few things.
And I still haven't figured out where you are. So I'm going to guess that. So you're not in Africa. You're not in Jamaica. You're in South America somewhere.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So you got to give me some clues about
I'm in
this
Asia.
place.
I'll give you that. I'm in Asia.
Because that narrows it down not at all.
Okay, you know what? Okay, here's something that
Okay.
I'm not giving you a specific location. I'm more so want to draw your attention
Okay.
to something in the background. That's more of the destination that I'm trying to paint.
Oh,
It's
okay.
along the lines of a certain body of water. And
Okay.
so if you can guess what that body of water is, that's kind of like where I'm at.
Okay. So my Googling is going to be about bodies of water through Asia. Okay.
That are drying up.
That are drying. Okay. Okay. That helps. That's very helpful. I will do my homework. In the meantime,
Okay. And I need to figure out, wait. Okay.
I'm
Show
not giving you any more clues because your Googling skills are like,
colorful people in okay, it's gonna be Ireland or the other places. Okay, so is it Ireland?
this is not Ireland, but I'm going to give you a clue about this place.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there are three official languages in this country. Um, and in addition to those languages, you can find them on the free public transportation that is offered there.
Oh, hold on.
And with that, we'll go to our next question. So,
Okay.
be- before this interview, you said that poverty is infectious. If you
Yeah.
associate your identity as a poor person who struggles with finances, how much does mindset play in our ability to create wealth as young professionals?
Oh my God, it's everything. It's everything. It's crazy because I feel like I'm learning this in my adulthood than I wish I would have known before. Because I feel like some people that don't believe or wasn't indoctrinated with this whole idea of riches are for other people. You know, like wealth is for those type of people over there, not you. You know what I mean? Like you don't get to be wealthy.
Mm.
Then you start creating roadblocks for everything that could potentially make you wealthy. I remember like one of my friends earlier on in his career, he kind of ventured out and said, "Forget Big Four. I'm doing what I'm about to do anyway. I'm done with this." And he started his own business. And he started off doing like financial consulting and all this different type of stuff. And at this point, I'm in drowning in debt. Like I had just paid for my dad's funeral, that put a damper in things. Now, granted, insurance reimbursed me some stuff, but before they could reimburse me, I'm just scram. I'm frazzled. I'm like in over my head. And I'm meeting with him. I'm like, I don't know. The money ain't money, and like I ain't got no margin, no room for anything. And he's just like, man, put one of your cars on two road, do this, do that, like flip some stuff in Walmart. I've been doing this, I've been doing that. And all the everything that he kept saying to me, I kept hearing an objection to why it won't work for me. That's all I kept hearing, because in my mind, making more wealth for me is not for me, it's for the other people. So
Mm.
if I went and I tried to flip things in Walmart, it's not going to work for me like it worked for you, just because off the strength of that's not, those type of stuff don't work for me. And a lot of the times we won't do the things that will build wealth because we'll have all these roadblocks in our head about why it can't work for me. And because you're believing that it won't work for you, you won't do the things that it requires and put in the work and the energy that it requires, because you already believe it's not going to work. Why would you put in energy and time into something you don't believe it's going to work?
That's deep.
And so, because of that, it keeps you in a cycle of poverty. And it keeps you, and because you're lack minded and you don't know when your next is going to come from, you tend to overspend because you're like, oh, the money's in the account now. I don't know when I'm going to have this again. So, let me just, even if it's subconscious, you overspend, you produce more debt because that's all you know how to do. So, you may take out a consolidation loan to pay off the credit card loans, to pay it off to this. You know what I mean? Like it becomes a treacherous cycle that you just start swimming in, and it just starts to reinforce that belief, like, see, I told you I'm not the person that can build wealth. And so if you don't believe that you are the person that can build wealth, you will not do the things that is required to build wealth.
Dang. So as you were talking, I was coming up in my own mind. Like, and I see this coming up for me in a lot of ways of there are things that I want to do, things that I want to put out into the world, but I stop myself.
Yes.
And a lot of the fear is that it's not going to work. Like nobody's going to care. It's not going to work. Why? It's I have this fear of failure off the bat, right?
Yes.
And a lot of that is a mindset of scarcity, right?
Yes.
That is a mindset that is like keeping you from doing the thing that's
Yes.
going to generate the wealth. Some of the other things that came up for me as you were talking was the idea of, and I'm going to take this back to business ownership, but I think this also applies if you are a young professional and you're going for a job and you're at the negotiation table and it's time to ask for what you deserve, what you're worth, right? It's time to negotiate your salary.
Yes.
And having that fear
Yes.
of asking and saying, "Hey, this is how much money I want to make." Right? Because well, if I tell them that I want to make $250,000 a year, they'll tell me I'm too expensive and they'll go find someone else who is cheaper,
Yes.
right? Or I won't get the job. Or even for me, the fear of raising my rates because I'm going to lose clients, or people aren't going to want to work with me because they don't want to pay the rate that I'm charging,
Yeah.
right? And that fear of going after the thing, don't fear what you don't know, manifest what you need. Thank you, DJ Lo.
Ooh,
Okay, that's some deep words. Okay,
come
that came from the comments,
on.
y'all. DJ Low said at 6:35 p.m., "Don't fear what you don't know, manifest what you need." Yes. And so, and that's so true. It's it's removing the fear from the conversation and manifesting the wealth and manifesting the abundance. Um, what are some practical steps that we as young professionals can take to break through those walls? Because the reality is that those fears and those beliefs are so ingrained in us, right? You were talking about, you went way back to your childhood, right? You went back to that 13-year-old girl sitting on a city bus, right? Or sitting on the school bus. Like, you went way back there. And so as adults, right, as we get older, we're now facing those
Yes.
fears that we've become conditioned to. What are some practical ways that we can transform our relationship with money and our identity with money?
Oh, faith. For me, that is leeway. For me, I had to realize because the whole thing is a faith journey. If you've never had money in your life, for you to have money, you got to manifest something you never had. That's going to require some faith. If you don't see the money in your bank account, in order to have money in your bank account, you got to go after something you never seen before. You got to go after something that you never had evidence of it working before. You got to go after something and say, I'm going to try this. I don't believe it's either it's going to work or it's going to work. And if I don't, and I'm going to fail my way to success. I think, first of all, we got to divorce the fear of failure. We got to divorce that fear. Because even if, and let me know if you can still see me, because if I'm frozen, I think, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool. Let me know. But first we got to divorce the fear of failure, because at the end of the day, it's going to take you just taking the first step. First of all, I feel like having a vision as to where you're going and just being in a direction and just taking the first step before you have evidence that that first step is going to work for you. I think sometimes we're so afraid. I had this vision appear to me the other day, of like the reason why we stay stuck, aka why I stay stuck. So I'm just coming from myself. And I envision like this staircase, right? And each step gets higher and higher, right? So maybe the first step is like this big, and then the second step is like this big, and the third step is like that big, right? And we're looking at our friends, or who we're looking at people who are on this step, and we want to get to where they are. And it just seems so insurmountable. And we're just like, oh, there's no way I can get to the right there. But if you just started on that first step and figured out how to get there, you would eventually get to that step. But some of us, I feel like, imagine that I'm on this side of the staircase, but there's an audience on the other side of the staircase. And we know that if we go and walk to that first step, the audience is going to see us taking the first step. And we don't want that audience to see us try to leap up to the second step and fall back to the first step. Or we don't want to see the failed attempts to make it to the step 2 or make it to step 3. We just want to be able to jump straight up to step 5. And we building ladders, we trying to take shortcuts, we trying to do this, and of course it fails, because you can't physically get from this to this, you know what I mean? And we're like, see, it doesn't work. But if you just took your behind to step 1 and say, okay, I know that I can hit here, I may not, I don't even know what step 2 looks like or how big that step is or whatever the case may be, but I know it will be revealed to me how to get to step 2 as long as I get to step 1.
I'm just going to take a guess. I did my Googling that you're at the Yangtze River.
Not
Yeah.
Yangtze, close.
It's not.
No, it's not. It's actually okay. You want me to tell you what it is? Wait, no. Let me guess where you are first. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I
Wait.
have one other. I have one more guess.
Okay.
I mean, you can go, but I think I have one more guess. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
got. I was
Okay.
like, oh, I was waiting. I was like, okay, wait. Okay. Luxembourg.
Yes.
Okay. I got it. Yay. Okay. Go. It's so pretty.
um,
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, and then I just wanted to show some of these comments from DJ Low on the
Yes.
chat. I forget that I can actually do this. So this is the latest one, and then we had "Life is all about stages. Each stage brings something new and a struggle, but it gets easier as you go and your vision gets brighter. And then, of course, don't fear what you don't know, manifest what you need. Those
Yeah.
are some wise words. Um, yeah, so I didn't realize, and I mean, I'm just going to be vulnerable and say, I didn't realize Luxembourg was a country. I thought it was the capital of a city, or
I
a
did.
city within a country.
Yeah, I did too. So don't feel bad because I did too. Wait, DJ Glow said something else? No.
Yes. But I had a lot of fun learning about this place, and I chose it because it's the one of the wealthiest nations on earth. And that's partially due to the really low taxes that they have, a very high minimum wage. So, I mean, these are in European dollars, so I'm not even going to try to guess what that is. But I did read somewhere that their average annual salary is about $88,000, which is
Oh,
wild. Um,
move to Luxembourg. Hold on. What I gotta do to get a fight? Do they like black people?
okay.
These
You like,
are the questions I gotta ask.
okay, like I need to get my passport renewed yesterday.
Right.
Also, the city of Luxembourg is home to three castles, which is actually pretty cool.
Oh,
Um, and the only the city is home to the only cathedral in the country. So I think that the capital of Luxembourg is Luxembourg City, which is
got it.
pretty
That makes
cool.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I thought Luxembourg City was a city in another country. I didn't realize it was a country of its own. So I had a lot of fun learning about this place. Um, and let me just see. We're not done with you yet, Deanna. I do have another question, but I want to share. Um, you're worth believing in yourself, and put your heart to work, and everything will fall in place. Yes. So, um, I'm gonna skip down because I know we have we only have you for a couple more minutes, and I want to just ask the question of, how do you describe success?
Oh, success for me, success is achieving what you set on a journey to succeed. I really believe success is objective. Some people believe that success is monetary. I don't believe that. I believe that success looks like somebody who achieve what they set out to achieve, whatever that may look like. Because some people may set out to become a master meditator or something like that, and here they are, the other side of the country, master meditating, and that's success for them. You know what I mean? Here, maybe somebody else is like, hey, I just want to be somebody who said I took a leap of faith to build a business. And if you built the business, you're successful because somebody else is looking at your destination as success for them as well.
Could you please tell us where you are and why you chose this place?
Oh, okay. So I am at the Euphrates River. So that is the longest river. I believe it's the longest river in Asia. It's in Western Asia. Okay. So the reason why I chose this place is actually, interestingly, I found it like earlier today, right before the interview, and I was like, oh, hold on, this is about to be my place because of its historical importance. I am a Christian believer, and the River of Euphrates is referenced so many times in the Bible, or the Euphrates River. Okay, it's referenced so many times, and in history, it's been one of the major sources for like for vegetation and for life source for so many cities. For even in historical, like biblical times, all the way till now. And I don't know if you heard the rest, everything else that I said. Okay, so it has so much historical significance. But as of right now, uh because there's a drought happening right now, climate change, because of dams and stuff that has been slowing down the river flow and all this stuff like that. The river is drying up. So people are being displaced. So this used to be like a vibrant land and now it's desolate. And so I kind of wanted to bring attention to that because I think it's like so metaphorical for like life and everything like that, is that, like when like an abundant place starts to dry up, like there's something happening. And then I mean, if like for any biblical believers or whatever the case may be, Revelation talks about it drying up too. So it's kind of like woo woo. So I just find it very interesting because I just think of it from a spiritual space. It's just a reminder to make sure I'm nourishing what I got going on here, or it'll dry up on me.
Thank you so much, Deanna, for coming on the show. It's been such a pleasure having you, and I really, really, I look forward to us connecting again here very, very soon.
Yeah, same here.
All right, now get back to work. No. All
Okay.
right. All right. And with that, see ya.